The party due to give a public address on the outcomes of the gathering, perhaps in the next hour. The spokesperson, Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri, revealing a short while ago that the party's leader, President Cyril Ramaphosa, will indicate who their strong considerations are. Newzroom Afrika's contributing political editor, Vuyo Mvoko, joins me now live from Boksburg, alongside our political reporter, Juniour Khumalo. Vuyo, afternoon to you. What's the situation there? What's the latest?
Well, Stephen, the waiting continues. A short while ago, about half an hour or so ago, many of members of the ANC's National Executive Committee did come outside. They had a bit of smoke, coffee, or whatever you may call it, break before, of course, they went back in to resume the conversations that they are having in there. That meeting, of course, interrogating all the recommendations that the National Working Committee of the ANC came up with. You'll recall the National Working Committee is a much smaller group of people that usually thrashes issues before those issues and come up with recommendations before those issues then get tabled before the National Executive Committee, which then has the power and the authority to make decisions in between ANC conferences. But I'm going to bring in our colleague here, Juniour, and my understanding, Juniour, is that among the proposals that seem to have gained some traction is a one in which the ANC would then, in a government of national unity set up, where everyone would have been invited, but the ANC takes all or almost all the executive positions, and then leaving the rest of the parties to take your speakers, deputy speakers, chairpersons of committees, the bodies that play, that in the legislature play more of an oversight role, while leaving, of course, the ANC to take up the executive position.
Indeed, that is one of those scenarios that have been threshed out. The president is actually the one who actually presented that to the special NEC sitting. There was some strong opposition, according to some of the NEC members that we spoke to. This is the reason why the president's address has actually been pushed back. Initially, the president was supposed to speak to the media at around 6 p.m., but now we expect him to speak to the media at around 8 p.m. So there's been a strong opposition to that because some of the individuals are indicating that some of these parties that they still need to engage with might not agree to that scenario. We know that parties such as the EFF have already indicated that they want the finance position. They want the speaker position as well. Parties such as the Patriotic Alliance have indicated that they want the Home Affairs position. They also want the police ministry as well. So those are some of the discussions that are being thrashed out here, and we will hear from the president when he comes out what he's going to say.
And of course, there's one person pointed out to me, said it's actually not a flawed or wrong position to adopt. In other words, to give executive positions to other political parties, because what then that does, as they put it, is that once you have someone eating, then they don't talk a lot, if at all. So it's probably a wise decision to actually do that. But of course, whether that's a position will gain more traction than perhaps was the case a few hours ago is a different matter. And it's correctly pointed out the fact that they have had to go to a break instead of ending the proceedings is probably testimony to the fact that those conversations have to be taken a lot further. We did pick up also, of course, that the former president, who is now the MK party leader, Jacob Zuma, is still nowhere.
Indeed.
To be found.
Indeed. This was confirmed by the ANC Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, when he did address the media. The national spokesperson, Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri, also spoke to this, that the former president is still nowhere to be seen. And we know that Umkhonto weSizwe Party in this election has been a key player. They have the third largest number of support, so they do need to speak to, the ANC does need to speak to them, especially when it comes to KZN. Umkhonto weSizwe Party has 45% of that vote. seat in KwaZulu-Natal. So coming up with a government in any of those scenarios without speaking to Umkhonto weSizwe is almost impossible, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. But they are still holding firm, the MK party, saying that they don't want to speak to the ANC until it removes the current president. Then they will engage with the ANC. We've seen reports indicating that Umkhonto weSizwe is actually speaking to the IFP in KwaZulu-Natal to try and form a government of unity there in that province.
Of course, and we must underline that this time around, as someone pointed out to me, they did manage to get hold of him personally instead of speaking to him via third or fourth parties. But coming to KwaZulu-Natal, that's a biggie, and that is the one we understand that some people are looking at. In other words, saying that can't we look at a permutation that will involve the difficult situation in KwaZulu-Natal? In other words, make that part of the of whatever arrangement that may be reached at a national level.
Indeed. So what we are hearing is that even the DA, with the informal engagements that they've had with the ANC, they've already spoken about KwaZulu-Natal. It's an important province. A lot of these parties, some of these parties don't want the MK party to actually be in government in that province. So they have been speaking about that province in particular, even as they engage about the national picture. So we will see a lot of talk around that. But especially within this NEC, one of the stumbling blocks has been some of the NEC members not wanting the ANC to go into bed with the DA. They're indicating that even the 6 million individuals that voted for the ANC would not want the ANC to go into coalition talks with the DA. But the DA, the NEC of the ANC is holding fast, saying that we didn't win the majority. So in this point, we have to compromise. And South Africans will have to understand that we are compromising. We are going to speak to everyone, even people, as the Secretary Mbalula said, even people that we wouldn't ordinarily want to get into bed with this time around, we would have to because of the results that came out.
And of course, important to also underline the fact, Stephen, that whatever happens here, whatever decisions will be taken here this afternoon will still have to be taken back. Remember that the initial conversations with other political parties were exploratory. And then, however those parties felt about whatever scenarios is what has been taken to the meeting that is happening right behind us. But the decisions that will be taken here tonight, as Juniour and I continue to stay on and burn the midnight oil if need be, those decisions will still have to be taken back to the respective political parties that the ANC has been engaging on before very final decisions can be taken. Take a listen to what the ANC spokesperson had to say earlier to Juniour about that very point.
A number of modalities have got to be worked out, but the NEC will come up with a principled decision to respond to the recommendations of the National Working Committee, which we did communicate at a media briefing yesterday because we did not want to leave too much room for speculation. It is likely to happen early next week because the interviews are going to be taking place over the weekend into Monday. And after that, we will then communicate to South Africans who we are fielding as premier candidates.
All right, Vuyo Mvoko, Juniour Khumalo, thank you very much indeed for that live update. More from our team, of course, at the ANC National Executive Committee.